Hey everyone, this is Quad Gamer 13 with the second in a three-part series of Madden Social. In this video we're going to talk a little bit about the auction house and how to upgrade your team and some strategies for doing so. Maybe before we hop in there I should point out again that under Manage you can see that you have your three sections of your team: your offense, your defense, and your special teams. As I mentioned in the previous video, all your players are basically stat based. It's more important on defense to pay attention to the stats, in the sense that your artificial intelligence is going to take over for how well your team plays, because you're not actually going to play defense in Madden Social. You're just going to let your cards play for you versus your opponent. But as you can see, if we click into a player here, depending on the player position, you're going to have the overall stats that you want to look at. Obviously, the higher stats, the better. The overall rating is somewhat significant in indication of what they are, but don't always get hung up on that, because you could have, for example, on this particular card, it's an offensive guard, you could have an overall rating, two players with 87s, but one could have, say, a very poor pass block ability, and if you're a person who likes to pass, that's not going to be very good for you. You're going to want someone with a high pass block ability, and vice versa if you're running or whatnot. So anyway, we'll hop back into the auction now and just take a quick look at that, and I'll share some strategies and how this works. So essentially in the auction, it's just like an auction house, like bidding online for stuff. So you have the ability to post an auction if you want to sell one of your cards. We'll hop in there quickly and I'll show you how to post. We'll take one of the players that I have currently I'm trying to get rid of. We have this linebacker. You can see you can scroll through everything, whether it's your base players or the good players you have that are sitting on your bench. But we're going to take this player here. So all you do is you touch the card. Sorry, my iPhone's a little wonky right now. Touch the card and you drag it up. And what you want to do is you want to set a start and a buy now price and a duration. Don't set the start price too low if you really want to get some money out of it, because you don't want to give these cards away. If you set a start price of 100, somebody could bid 100 and get it, which is nothing. So set it reasonably. This guy's 84, so I'm going to say 10 grand is the minimum coins I want. Now the buy it now price. This is if somebody doesn't want to bid, they just want to buy it outright. So I always try to set this at a value that I think is the minimum I want to get, and maybe a little bit higher for something that gives me a little extra back from selling this card. But I don't want to sell it too high, because if you sell it too high, the people who hop in and want to quickly buy it now tend to shy away from those prices, because they'll probably find somebody else selling this exact same card for slightly less. So because it's for an 84 overall card, we'll set it for 40,000 just to see if we can get that sold. The duration you can set in increments of 4, 8, I believe it's 4, 8, 12, I think? 24, 48, 72 hours. Don't set this too high as well. Set it low. I like to set it at 4, because what people do is they often look for the cards that are expiring, and they're hoping to find something that someone hasn't bid on. So if you set it to 4 hours, your card will expire sooner, so therefore it'll pop to the front of the line and someone will see it there, and maybe there'll be a bidding war for it and people will try to buy it quicker, and then that way you'll get better turnover your cards, and hopefully you'll get your money quicker, and hopefully you'll drive the price up a little bit. This also gives you the option to post to Facebook if you want to share with your friends that you're selling a particular card. I generally don't do that just because it's not something I like to do, but it is an option for those of you who enjoy doing that. And as you can see, any sale for a card, it takes 10% off of whatever you sell it for. So if you sell it for 10 grand, it's going to take 10% off of the 10 grand and take it out of the bank. So you don't get back your full 100% of your money, but you do get back quite a bit. So I hit post, and that's now gone into the auction house, and that's going to wait for someone to bid on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and look at the auction by going into browse in a section, but right now I'll show you my auctions just to prove that that's up there. Click the my auctions. You can see that I have a couple cards up there that I'm trying to sell, as well as a safety that I posted earlier, so I'm hoping to get money for those guys. And you can see that there's no bidding on them actively right now. If someone does bid on it, you'll see a notification of that's being bid on and who's the bidder and what the price is at. My bids is where you've bid on something yourself. We'll look at that once we go into the browse and search for something. When you go into browse, it lists all of the cards right off the bat. You can scroll through and you can pick from this list, or you can refine it during using search. As you can see here, I'll use an example. One thing you want to pay attention to is you see these cards listed as rare and superior. There's different ones that are listed rare, superior, silver. There's different ratings. Essentially, the fancier the rating, the more valuable the card is in terms of stats. But what you need to pay attention is take a look at the actual stats, because sometimes a card will be listed as superior, for example, but if you actually look at the stats of what the player is, sometimes the stats aren't that high. Like if you get a cornerback, their speed may be really slow despite the fact that they have good pass coverage in zone and man coverage. But if your guy's really slow, he's not going to stay up on top of a receiver, right? The receiver's going to run away from him. So don't get automatically drawn in by the fancy labels. Take a look at the actual stats, and you might be able to find a card that, say, is just a normal rated cornerback without a superior or a rare rating that actually has better stats than somebody's rated rare or superior. So that's my little tip for you there. So we're going to go into search and just take a look at the interface. As you can see, you can search by various things or combinations. There's player name, the team, the position, the rating, which is the overall rating, the card type, which I mentioned earlier, bronze, silver, rare, superior, and the minimum and maximum. Minimum maximum is if you want to search based on the amount of coinage you have. So you don't want to search for anyone under 25,000. That's the minimum you want to start looking at. Or you don't have enough money to buy certain guys. So say you only have 50,000 coins and you want to go for a really high rated guy. Well, you might want to put 50,000 in the max here, and then it's going to filter every one card that comes in with a value under 50,000. Now, what I like to do is I like to look as high as possible and limit. So I think I have about 50,000 coins. We'll just use as an example. So we'll put 50,000. And say I want to upgrade my defensive tackle. We're going to swipe over. It shows every player. So we're going to swipe over till we get defensive tackle for position. Sorry, here it's slow. There it is. And now I want to get a guy with a high rating. I know my guys are already high rated, so I want to go, and I don't want to settle for looking for 50s or 60s. I want to go for somebody high. We'll just use 80 to 90 for example. I generally found anything in the 90 to 100 range, you're pretty much looking at costs that are 100,000 coins or more at a bare minimum. So unless you have a lot of coins, don't even bother going in there because you're not going to win anything. So you got to accumulate coins. So let's look at 80 to 90 for example. So if we go in there, it's going to list all of the cards that are in the range of under 50,000 and for an 80 to 90 range. So you can see we have several guys. If we look at this guy here, we'll show an example. B. Membane here. If we look at his stats, if we flip the card, we can see he's 91 strength, 92 tackle, 92 BSR, and 80 for an awareness. Now if we hop back and look at McCoy next to him, who's rated rare, if you look at his stats, they're not that much difference other than strength. Strength is better, but tackle and base awareness and BSR and awareness are lower. So this is an example of where I said the rare rating isn't necessarily better. It is for one stat, but overall, not so much. So you might not want to waste the money buying them. So if we go back, I'm just going to pick a player that I know I'm going to get outbid on just because I don't really want to buy it right now. So if we go to this tackle here, C. Canty, if I wanted to buy it now, I could spend 292 889 coins there, but as you can see at the top, I only got 55,000, so I can't outright buy this guy, but I may want to start a bidding price on him. So if I wanted to, I could just enter the value, or I could and click place bid, or I could use the plus minus sign to increase it incrementally, or I can just click on the number and bring up the value and type it in. So we're just going to put that, but we're not going to actually enter it. You can see it says I only have a certain amount of coins. I put like 170,000 there, so it's not going to take it. But so what you want to do is you want to watch the bids as they come down and try to bid as soon as you can on players that are going to expire, because if you bid on somebody that's got 15 minutes left and you put a minimum bid, chances are you're going to get outbid. So what I like to do is I come in and I go to the end and I look who's there and who's ready to go. And if it's a really good player, then I'll watch it. If not, I'll make a bid and I'll come back in 10 minutes after playing another game. But keep an eye on what you have. Sometimes if you have enough coinage, bid on 2x, maybe you'll win one and not the other. So that's kind of the auction house, and this is number 2 of 3 videos, so we'll come back in video number 3 and take a look at the gameplay, and hopefully we'll get a little feel for how the game actually plays.